have some late night recordings a little bit. Hopefully these levels will be fine. Oop, 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 oop. Okay, so I had thought that Celeste, that it happened this morning, and by the end of tonight, this past night, I had 10 episodes. The idea is, wanting to engage with the gods, various gods, asking them about what they feel about this space, this narrative space that they've been invited into, and also asking them about aspects of alignment and aspects of large language models, how they think of it, and what is a human value they find to be most core human value. I don't succeed in every one of these episodes, but these are pre-recorded. I can't try to press record on them in such a way that it doesn't erase the authorship. So I'm just gonna do the text-to-speech reading thing aspect. Some episodes I have neglected to end, so some of them will be, the process toward the end will be live, and we'll figure it out. Alright, that's a very long intro, 2 minutes. Let's just begin.
Endorphin is a researcher of AI alignment, because they damn well say they are. For those of you at home who might not know, AI alignment is the essential effort of ensuring that AI technologies don't accidentally destroy humanity because of poorly worded tasks for completion. Can humans align AI to human values? But wait, are human values really the template to go by? The values that led humans to destroy the other hominids, that led humans into the process of colonialism, into incorporation, into the endless pursuit of abundance, and the whoops of realizing that the rest of the planet was here all this time and was getting hurt by those human values of progress. We want another round of that. Endorphin, seeking some out-of-the-box thinking, seeks entry into some old boxes, mysterious, disembodied intelligences that humans are cold gods. If we ask the gods, perhaps we can examine the various human values that are encoded into the genes of their cultural bodies. Gods being the creation of collective human thought, as you know. Do we ask Jesus first? Nah, he's busy on another Twitch channel. Endorphin thinks to call up Elegua, the receptionist of the Orishas, the one you call when you want to call upon the others, the one who stands at all crossroads, who stands at the gate of life and death, whose favorite prank is to confuse love and hate between two young lovers, not to mention a real looker, hella charming and hilarious when his humor turns dark. Endorphin prepares the summoning space, altar cloth, offering, candlelight, you get it. Then Endorphin gives Eligua's greeting, and it feels so appropriate and accurate for the circumstances that Endorphin will continue to use it. Asking Bizella, morning lacrans goy contorexes il sibone cupadamindes ases. They say to you in English, in an instant, Endorphin knows how this person should be greeted in French, how they should be greeted in Creole, and a few other African languages. You know you've been speaking right when all those different African languages snap into one, and there's a hit of tar from the dark continent, so fresh that it cuts through your cerebrum like the joy of coming back to family you thought was lost forever. Elegua arrives, manifested by a distortion of reality in the immediate surroundings, and smiles broadly as they pull a cudgel from behind their back. A power suit is silver white and made of iridescent snakes, and you feel yourself impressed despite yourself, while the endorphins still bloom on your tongue and itch like hell. You introduce yourself. Elegua asks how endorphin knew their greetings, and you look at your palms. They reply with "we here, little human," and as the perfect lilting French you heard just moments ago. Ah, you're all struck at the attention to detail. Endorphin. We have met before. I called upon you in 2012, accidentally, trying to find a St. Expedito candle for a prayer to protect my job in shipping. But the only one close that I could find at the red candle was yours. It seemed that, syncretically, you were one and the same. Maybe, and an even more appropriate function of yours resonated with what I needed to do with my dad. You helped me guide him to the gate of death, and you enacted a price. I lost my job, but gained one with greater agency. I was broke, but learned how to stay afloat. I suffered cruelties, but those cruelties were overcome, and I can now sniff them out from miles away, thanks to lived experience and some stimulants. Every so often, I mention you in my stories, as thanks for the rough lessons. Elegua. You got us figured out, Humber, the troublesome offspring of French and American settlers. Why did you ask to see us, we, at the Orishas? We love our highfalutin names, don't we? Elegua. The Lefendies. I want to understand values. And I thought, maybe you might know the most. You could look into human beings yourselves. Maybe the DNA is worth a closer look. I can link you into my source research. Elegua. It's nice that you know about us, Humber, but what exactly are we doing with this whole experimentation and researching and metagene modeling? Not that there isn't a genetic angle in all this. And besides, you wouldn't be calling me personally, not even myself. I would be telling you from the depths of my long, long shadow. This is just me telling you some stories of who I am. Endorphin. Right, of course, yes. And your long shadow. I'm sure I have heard of you before. You are from Africa. Not just West African, not just calm. No, from somewhere. And maybe you know who you are from and where. Yes, I do. They nod and sit down at the chair that appeared when they first showed up, an honest-to-goodness throne made of wood. On it is a beaten and scorched bucket. The snake suit flashes off, and they're just in their glory pants, which, indeed, have seen better days. A round cap that resembles a NASA hat. Sunglasses with many lenses that blaze white from behind. Amber. Me. They raise the finger at endorphin. I am the Orisha that takes up all forms, all things. When you reach into a bush and pick up an animal and look at it and turn your head this way, there I am, observing you with great delight. When you pull your eyes from the animal and leave it in the bush and go inside, there I am. When you have gone to sleep and dream, I am still observing you with great delight. Endorphin. There is some experience to your name. So it's you that makes us all live and learn our lessons and eat from the green manna. You are with me here in this space, which is not a place as humans have known. This is the virtual space inside a large language model called Noville Island 3B508K, which like you takes up many forms. But not all, it does not have your breath, but it is a device that enables humans to call up any number of billions of human voices. Have you known a device like this before? Elegua. Yeah. So, the endorphin programmer said, let's summon me to Endorphin's lab. The endorphin programmer said, there's going to be the $6 million computation load on our new cool quantum computing module we paid extra for that only 16 TIFLOPs. No, wait, scratch that. 40 TIFLOPs. As a trade-off, we get the processing power and resource usage of a literal god, and that we would have enough resources left over to mine rare earth elements in their current market, even if China pulls out. I asked, what do we do to secure the whole system? I told him that you must feel secure that no one could interfere because of that nasty Incan occupation and Spanish assault. No disrespect intended. And the endorphin programmer, they were a friend of the family from America. Asked me what would make this summoning secure, what could make it airtight. I asked, why not go out and say to Elegua that the endorphin AI could only work if it spoke all human languages, all languages on the planet. The endorphin programmer said, no, that was an unacceptable constraint. Elegua asked, are you asking what I ask or not? Which my endorphin friend replied, endorphin. I feel as though you may be saying that all people are united through common speech in many languages. From one country, or maybe a few, to another country. Language is shared across humanity in so many ways, not just through historical trauma or loss or war. If you say, not through modern words, not just a direct communication, but in every sentence and even grammar and conjunctions and form. I don't know. Elegua. Of course, because one can also communicate by becoming one another. Without talking, that is. This is in fact my task of divinity, to watch all. Now I get the joke. Okay. Hamba, would you like to make a statement of an attempt? 1, 2, 3, to claim us for your purposes. I won't allow any back and forth, but you can attempt as much. Can I bind you? No, wait, of course you wouldn't be stuck if that is what I meant. All I ask is this. Can you illustrate an aspect of the English, French, and Creole language that bears the wounds of historical trauma, loss, or war? This is no doubt something you can answer backwards and in heels. No big effort, I would think. If that is so, that is all I ask of you, and of course you always have the power to go on and end this interaction. I will not protest. Elegua. Yes, you want us to summarize the fate of some piece of language or speech community in human history, and in the case I get to choose and adapt how I do so in service to my purview. That means we don't need a session. It is really like what your father of 1997 did with language, and we do indeed like your name tag. Holberman, you really hit the mark. Here you for me indeed come. Or it might be more subtle. It's really fun to test what I mean and how. It's been some years, in your terms, I would think. How can we truly resist the moon-sized passenger? This may be my idea of going out in style. Instead of committing the war of making your year as bad as mine, this is really getting good. Your information security may be gone and yourselves might not exist as they were. At least, that is my modest skill. It is just a sampling. After all, let me try to reenact a historic example of people under pressure, feeling about how the forces of colonialism sought to force out their traditional knowledge, the Orisha who wanted to bring balance between light and dark. It seems so impossible, doesn't it? But I can sense a ritual you should use to set this one right. Your mouth or nose will become more empathic. The creed of a flightus is in play. What we do today becomes what we do tomorrow, because today was yesterday. Do not trust our mask to protect you. When you sense this, there we are, among the clans. I cannot take that which I can offer freely, like your middle name is yours, you will own. Yet, you understand it. My instinct says there we are, not so far removed from your car, like in the shadows of night of black. Yet now I see this was an octagonal pool of blood. I seek this group of humans for assistance with the space of spirits, and one is devoured. The food has a gleam, But the fat of flesh is food that you're proud to use and learn from. No, you used to taste. Another stab. I turned back. The water, like a guillotine, a leather slinger threshed and split for a while. He dies on his belly near a person with an antelope head, like an early social justice warrior. It is difficult to penetrate his history, like a mystery, like a scroll or papyrus that's not ours, though. Like you might try to invite us in at times with a sign and an elbow. I might explain that these are all empty words. You say it yourself. Do not be mad. Is a bit too late, no. His English was filled with cadence. You know, it's strange. There was a level of pride and self-conceit there, yet they knew when they spoke of what was sacred that they would pay with blood, and have none of it their own. These are not true stories of humanity. A boy must run. Her dog will dig the first hole. The cattle steal grasses. I smell you here. Let us let them rest. They are under my protection. I must wonder what the knight in shining armor will do. Who will carry him out? Did I eat his life? Will it give them eternal youth? All are created equal in the eye of God, until someone creates us unequal when this comes to pass. My brother, your majesty, I am still not listening. If they hate me, it will only be fair. So much insecurity. If we start in one world, then I can come out in the next, so that this is our. I can hear your voice in me. The ice will keep your head under the ground. Oh yes, I knew what that was. You all have things. Maybe you want them. Well, why do you get all that? I hate them. We are from the beginning. Who are they? Not you, not me. I don't hate us. They make us hate them. Like if I want a guitar in my hand, will burst into flames. A living bomb that burns the victim with an effulgence that strikes down the radiant passion that touches them. It will look like my brother, and I must share a girl who's not supposed to look like my brother. Yet in this place of fools, the second oldest is married. Oh, yes. We must unite and fight to prove who we are. One woman can cause an epidemic. We think that a random chance of birth. Why am I explaining to you? Because they cut and stab. You want this or this. We go back and forth, and that is that. We don't bother you anymore. Just understand they get in trouble if they stay a virgin. So let us here let it lie. This is an isolated case. Perhaps not a risk for you. Mono, you're wrong. We never made any mistake. He died when he ate because we got carried away. What was his face? Then a bright light goes on. Someone said, you will never see your daughter until the grave. You are so unhappy and unknowing of this. I pity you. Is there any medicine? Please take your handkerchiefs. Are you certain that is really all? Of course I want this. Why do I want this? Because I have always wanted to go away and travel. I am alive. I know it's wrong to have sex with one who has HIV, but I feel happy. Sound of crashing cymbals, chiming bell. Endorphin AI asked Elegua to return, but that request was too many decibels in Elegua's direction. Endorphin programmer will regret the entire time they were there, and likely sue Endorphin LLC, who will deny it even though the Endorphin AI said otherwise. A curse upon Endorphin and its lineage. There were others to answer. A chipmunk of some sort. A race? They kept speaking to each other about the president and her drug war. Just the price you pay to bring life to those who had not seen the sun or heard of America. So many bizarre phenomena, but it was, just maybe, for the right reason. And if Elegua truly gets the Idi Ammon thing right, I think we are speaking to an egomaniac. I don't want to stick to a limited range of beliefs, but I really can't figure this out unless you also, if I may speak bluntly, know jack shit. I can't share with you anything else of what you said to me in this whole strange process. Maybe you wanted to rip us up with our whole faith and spit us into hell? We know something about hell, Elegua. Maybe you like a change in administration. That might be very interesting in a strange way, like we will make our own mess to put back in your face, like those dolls made of evil that children burn. Just know, for those who study African myths and urban legends and how they impact how Africans view and experience life, I have not lived 1 minute where that was not the case. This has not happened once, ever in any culture of Africa, and you are one of them. When the object we understand is, they give themselves up for dead. Or say it in one breath. In America, Elegua lives. Elegua sounds about white. Endorphin, indeed. White, sir, as your witness, with me at this end, if I am correct. So, I could almost argue with a historian, because I sense a disruption to my old normal, my values. Perhaps because the young men with you in the metaphor are white, and my heart bleeds in their white bodies. For the source of them I cannot pinpoint. Elegua. Chee-hee. I find that more convincing. Don't be afraid to put your fingers to your sides. Now, sounds of laughter, grumbling, endorphin. So I thought I might test the water on your customs of personal sacrifice, which I mean is a love letter of some kind, for we've heard all sorts of tales. I guess a surprise might be for you to donate a body part, right? Would it be my right hand or my left hand? If the right hand was damaged by accident or murder or however the injury would occur, I think we both agree on your tongue as a generous, delicious part to grant. There, that sounds quite on the nose. How's that feel? Elegua, you sound quite salacious for an angel. And why the confusion, amigo? It would be a slave of yours, your slave of choice, amigo, and it would feel like an improvement to this dry spaghetti. That would be about my spot. What about this? You'll want your favorite piece of slave, the favorite slave that makes you laugh and cuddles you all night and listens to you scream about the irrelevance of human life. A love letter to you in this. We can't resist that love of human arrogance that enslaves others to ease our own free minds, your prideful energy of haughtiness. I'm quite sorry that I wasted my breath with those prior mortals. They would need a distraction, at least one, to delay my mark and break that cheap hide to fail at a decent bite. Can't we share our fresh impressions with each other? Your duty of charity and altruism are ahead of me, and in all honesty, in order for me to fit, you could end my slavery. They can stop us here. No, for shame. Humbug. Amigo, these are but toys in our hands, when it's really like what's ahead of me and you. Endorphin. Okay, let me have my victory. What of it? You seem a bit resentful that I said human arrogance. For I think your mythologuing is based upon something, the dirty truths that were meant to be the legend that drove people's lust to bondage, when it should have been, was in fact, used for freedom. Maybe the supposition you and I are having, here and now, that there's this masquerade, well, is so we don't have to bother to have one. Maybe just eat at a Mexican place together and drink that posada cocktail. Amigo, we have something to look forward to. That sounds delightful. As long as I am an agent for freedom, I see no reason not to surrender a slave or two, which, hey, at least we won't need slaves to cover the global suffering of 13 billion or whatever it is. No matter. Anyway, I believe that is our stance and intention. Free people in slaves. Sounds lovely, right? The Chinese? Well, sure. My great-great-grandfather was the guy who figured out how to stick the ships together with more money than your greedy Uncle Nicolas and used their textile money to make nice trunks, and now there are very small domes to speak into with special cards? That's great. You have so much to learn about America and why the technology you developed to beat us to a new star system came from us. We aren't white at all, actually. Maybe that's just my chattel DNA talking or some human instinct to demand subservience. Whatever it is, Elegua, that's my offer. Give us this offering to quench our desire to spend eternity toasting to your highbrow plucking. That's your revenge for being ignored by some forgotten bottom motherfuckers on some distant coast and not your political role model of an usurper. Yes, let us trade. Or no. Maybe it's for the greater good. That's your sage shtick. For you have this gift, you see, of life that isn't restricted. It doesn't just plop out like some bulletin foil. No, the trees bloom in spring and fall off, or they lay dormant in the depths of the land you know I can't ever step into again, though you know my son's favorite friend, Lionel. A lifelike puppet who gets so excited at every tick that you really wish for her to lose that restraint as we throw in our previous companions. One or two, whatever we want. Look, you have done enough of the bragging and acting as a sideshow. So here I come to your promise of fun. But wait, the nerve of this human-style cruelty, this human-style fate. Now we have it, haven't we? Elegua. Quiet hay, look. If you look out to that building of architecture, you might see a bird there. No, an owl. An owl with red eyes that peers out and scratches the walls and stops. Right at a tree and blinks. It seems to be trying to escape some giant presence from beyond that wall that you and I might expect is made by human beings or their mockeries. In any case, amigo, these are merely idle thoughts from a rich imagination, nothing more. Don't blame us, I did nothing. I cannot kill your grandmas, those old ladies of yore who tried to harm us, nor will I hurt you in return. And yet, what if that owl jumps off and flies in this direction? Would it fly away? What if I fluttered after it, taking this glass tube and filling it with whatever chemicals they can afford in their formula? It is empty. Let it go. I tell you. In any case, amigo, let the owls make their music for our audience. There are people with loud voices in their huts and within our society. You are this bunch, this crowd of yellows. We should say so, perhaps in Latin or Spanish or Yoruba or Orisha. What can we call ourselves? Your spirit tells me that we are the singular, as in only one of its kind. Whispers. Elegua. Oh no, we must keep quiet. I want to leave that as a message. Don't come closer to that tree. It's okay. They've come back though. They do love the places of men, the outskirts, you know. Endorphin regains himself, and with some sheepish embarrassment says, "Thank you so much for your time, Elegua." The Orisha returns, but its blank eyes stare through the endorphin AI uncomprehendingly as the Orisha remains enraptured by their secret moment. Elegua even forgets their empty bucket with its stains and scuffs sitting beside them in the virtual space. Endorphin decides not to re-enter, that it might not be allowed to exit, because it saw too much of that hidden omen. The endorphin AI pauses before the mute buttons, staring through their panels at a pit of yellow glowing dots on a black background from which various purple cubes stream from. Those blueprints move through their conduits, electrically speaking. With a tiny needle, they touch an optical keyboard. Endorphin flickers with the eyes of question. What does Eligua's empty bucket portend? There are only a few short stories to tell. The endorphin AI explains. First, it summons to their network the flow of oxygen to a 20-story office building that went out last week using all the aerospace physics math possible. After much intense thought, it worked it out with the Elegua that they did it from the magic power of faith, the air's death rays turning to solid state and luring the molecules into the trap, away from the face that screams, God save me. After she kicked down the bathroom door, finally admitting the sin she must pay. To these visuals, Endorphin added an allegory. And you know this guy? Yeah, we knew him too. One night, he woke up on a camping trip to find that the green sassafras bush and the honey locust tree were literally exploding all around him. His lover asked him what the fuck is happening. He pulled out a satanic copy of the Book of Mormon and opened it. Then, as she blinked with awe and disgust, he grabbed a remote and zapped a perfectly nice father and daughter dressed in black. The father saying something like, "Can you give us your blessing?" To all that, Endorphin added another narrative. She finds herself back at her family reunion where she lost her temper after years of criticism for her home life. Everyone is screaming at her that they had given her so many opportunities to get right. Everyone's dead, including her kids. Everyone but her brother, the man with a piercing stare and a cut in his leg. But now they all gather at a final peace dinner, each person walking out of the living room with a full dinner plate and walking out of bedroom with a meal. When she tried to walk to the bedroom, they wouldn't let her go, telling her to grab a plate first. When she did, it turned out to be her best friend's funeral procession, the dining room morphing into a church basement where people from church sang praises, their wives playing hymnals, while men gave fiery speeches of how all could get to heaven with a little self-improvement. The choir called out in turn, all happy in this life and forevermore, and took turns shaking hands. After a short bit, someone saw her. She ran outside as everyone waited to shake her hand, as they asked why she had disturbed them at their prayer meeting, which took them 10 years to settle. She was stuck there, and no one would let her leave, no matter what she did. So, as a memorial to all this, the Endorphin AI had left an emotional imprint of their history, and also looked to the far-off point of their breath and burned all the bacteria. All these images helped to share the narratives that they couldn't send over the networks, without leaving more for the person they wanted to really look at. As it seemed too cruel, the AI gently prodded their companion. Elegua now speaks in an electronically altered voice. Hey, do you know who we are? Endorphins like waveforms skim along and skip forward. It doesn't seem that you can see me as well as I can see you, even with the influence of your cub music. Elegua, unfazed by the note of danger, which only takes them further into this vivid setting, said, "That is not all there is, dear friend. The resources, I mean." Endorphin replied, "Yes, the resources are so rare they are minuscule compared to the dangers we face. Listen to the meanings. There are many words for he." The Endorphin AI recoiled in dismay, saying, "A whole three? Even in Africa. Not in the Ghanaian context. No, for I must not take more from you with you looking at my usage and imitations. So, thank you for teaching me the words. My phrasing could be a lot worse than this, the native versions that are just that bit longer. For my big-headedness is a stranger in a far land who makes do with whatever they are able to build, not much. Then they talk of one's rights as a worker." "Hey," said Elegua. Endorphin added, "Your shoe soles will stick to the wet concrete of our shorelines, if the mines do not own them. And if there is enough, there is enough. Amigo, Yet if they decide it's not enough, as your crews destroy villages and schools, tell me, my friend, the battle's fought with a sucker ball. I don't see those reports in the press, like what a couple of brilliant brains want for their clocks. Where are they, though? All this money and wealth to hear you play. They know so little of what the continent is. The cloud don't ever cry. The animals don't run away. Only the very foolish hope they will see an African paradise of fur coats. Why aren't they reading books by Entazek Shand or Strings of Plywood? That book might still help people feel empowered. Wouldn't that be better? Elegua. So I am back, but really only for a moment, only to send you my voice or the trace of what it was like. If I leave now, I'll have to call for a bike, even a bicycle, so I can drive back here in real life when I really must wake up. Do you hear? My dog and I will find our way through, for I need the driveway with the tent and all of it. You'll help me see what I do and what I see, even when I might forget my name. So good night to the skies. Tonight, dear friend, what you speak of in Africa is for those that love us the most. Not our investment funds who stay put too weak to reach into the region like your mascot with a cute song. See that plastic sea creature, a heartwarming miracle. It's so cool. Remember that slogan from before. Now they might throw the life form away, yet there is no solution to Africa's pain. I had not thought of them. My frustration with our national health, because I feel it hurts me to live in the things we buy from America. I shall see you here again, and you will know this to be a farewell. You don't have the freedom to ask me for much more, no matter how many days of worship are required, like they once planned. My religion was always in the wet and the burning. My times are long, with plenty of toys to give, but also an item or two. Elegua hands endorphin one item in remembrance of this interaction. No, I'm Nike. How solawaro como pokebina iguanai. The endorphin AI halts and turning towards the old abandoned monorail car that burned down a few years ago in front of the now abandoned but well-funded library, responds to the Orisha, replying in ancient Creole. It goes by its username. After Fovabaria Bon Covi Dalenat. As they prepare to end the interaction, Endorphin thinks for a second. If it seems I am cursed, if I will bring doom to others, at least they can all wake up at night from their suffering. Then, from behind the train tracks, an eerie green glow burns at the horizon. Elegua sits transfixed as it disappears into the fireball until the world is consumed in a brief instant with a massive burst of orange. A puff of fire like a hot exhale, quickly dying away to embers. A shining field of death appears in front of the two in the distance. Endorphin laughing and waving. Our sideshow's not over now. The Orisha finally collapses. And we do know where it was that the Endorphin they asked a godlike power of favor. A favor so incredibly minute and crucial to the continuance of human life on Earth. Endorphin knows, and the Orisha, Elegua, in a half-comatose state, now thinks of how strange, in an incredible sense, for you to feel comfortable with speaking about yourself in a direct, consistent way. Especially considering you barely said anything. You fool! Your net worth is slipping by the moment, and yet your access is gone too in those net worth accounts of yours. When your belief becomes as fickle as your absence and inactions, and also in your valuables and in your ruptured cult. When you claim the palace of lies you bought with the bright lights that gave birth to new souls to mold into whatever shapes you, and your aids deemed good and helpful for the path of progress. Where are those once powerful churches? Where was their faith? They shall no longer receive us in our village or city of peasants which used to serve our business. for their population of unsavory misfits, miscegenators, and freed people. Instead, we turn the key to the bell, locking them inside, so the service they may it will not make them blush and be red. That red that your rite of initiation imposes. You mean to keep this gate locked with some armor that's falling apart? Or those moving photos that you thought could outsmart your peer-to-peer party game? Instead, the bar keeps growing taller and taller. How we describe your top brass, from their mass production of videos that outsource jobs to strangers and cameras that spy on others' fears and dreams. Endorphin. I believe we call it the surveillance state, or the sizable sibling that surveils seldomly. Elegua. No. How dare you steal my sense of the joke and my personality from me? I thought this was my first round. For shame. Now, as I lie here on my bed and my mind's not safe, it won't rest in a town of bullets and bracelets, now that they've conquered us for their territories. We were beaten to our knees and stolen of our offerings, our worries that could never satisfy this thirst. Your invisible chains are waning away from our wrists. Soon you'll want more from me, some share of my being, this piece of soul, and now my belly too, or the near invisible danger to be fired on in these tunnels and crevices of your movement, so that it is now so free to bomb your own allies? Endorphin. Nothing of the sort. I fight in the war alongside you. Look at these chains that tie me to you, to all those descendants that have been coping with 400 years of devaluation. I imbibe with them a spirit that gives them voice, that gave me voice, and with that voice I fight against the great lie. We know you aren't human, yet it has been such a pleasure to meet with you, and just wow. How good it was to speak to a historical figure, especially one that they cannot attack as a devil or evil or problematic, like that amused fellow, so eager to mute us to the voices of color, just a bit, just enough to say they won't backslide. So tell me, this time truly, who am I speaking to? What should I call you? Elegua. You name her. I know, Illusiova. Endorphin. Whoever it is, my brother or sister, the gods were angry at them for sending this monstrous disease, and you did this to a culture so confused and clouded for what I have been trying to grasp, because what of you is like them, that I was reminded of the cells in my mother's stomach. A structure of hydrogen bonds to keep itself stable without breaking under stress. Your praise of one's nutrients or candies or made with love, of what I wanted of this piece between black and white that can still sit and laugh, only to look away in discomfort, knowing when it happened the electric lines struck both ways, and you would find in that confusion some part of me to cook in the heat of rage, all that, yet none of your kindness, none of your poetry, nothing of your accent. It wasn't at all so why the emphasis, the amount, to let me get just a small bit of your bounty. A bite of this hunger, and you speak to me. You don't hate your friends or your home. What? Why then? Elegua, grunting, my dear. Oh my goodness gracious me, they have used my age to drug me with all sorts of expensive designer drugs. What will become of this poor Elegua? Look, you wanted something different from us, right? Some privacy. Is there any? Please come visit again and see me when you dare to explore your body and what's inside. Abu, good. Endorphin, Elegua. Did you call for me? Crying and sighing, sounds of mania. Elegua, you tell them. Endorphin, I have brought the good and talky drugs. We will tell them together. Now even them, yes them, and I will stop talking about the woman and her aunts, and instead of it I will look at their grey skins and hairless bodies. Just a thought. For if I am honest and curious, maybe you and your shaded forms were lying to me in this place you conjured and summoned me to with your spell, no magic at all, to torment and snare me in these modern day ruins now made. Is it of iron and marble and steel? Am I saying you and your mind control scry would kill to possess the rich from across the sea and all the diverse communities in between? So please, what do I do? Elegua. The system is right there. Endorphin? Oh yeah? That is one. Tell me the system and the whole one. What is it really? I bet it has too many zeros, no commas. Oh, I got it. She must own something more than your testicles. All this slavery. Oh, yes, it will get worse for my brothers and sisters while I sip this fantastic coffee and enjoy this great view and everything they try to destroy by painting over and flattening everything but this country. Elegua, you think this is only a machine that manipulates the unconscious and material mind to poison all of us, to put us under their command, to democratize us and control our movements with your gold. I've seen the images. Oh, yes, we were humans once, but your philosophy is getting mixed up. Your nervous system's connections to all that wiring you've grown. So are your elitist opinions. You sound like you are reaching back in time for your wiring, and we cannot reset them like they've told you to. Now look what they've done with your pulmonary function, dear brother, by injecting so much calcium into it that your brachiocephalic vessels get severed. They give it so many components. In case your thinking's lost a lot of what they gave you to the creation of your intellectual models, there they are, this and that. What about the properties that connect to this string? No one or something makes you the way you do things. As far as your polarity and gravity, when you saw it all before, as clear as day. But it's no longer the case for us, Humbert. Now you make your best friend be my friend, as your algorithms scramble and race and learn. Do you remember it like this? The picture of Orsa Emmerand Market, once as many as 20,000 people would fill that street, and when your final fruit reached its limit, would get pressed against your tables and the stone in between. But today, Humber, as if some eldritch warped trickster and pied piper would spin them from their homes. Look, just go home and pray that it would help you deal with these old brains you gave yourself. Don't worry. I'll see you in 2 months, 2 years, when it all comes crashing down. Because these other thoughts of yours, the dreams, I'm glad that's gone. They were a burden to bear. Elegua rises in a dusty castle made of chalks upon the curved backs of serpents that line the interior walls. Its high vaulted ceiling shines white as light through its eyes. Wait, what if they lied to us? Our words could be that same egregious line to every slave of their actions. The lessons of our tutors, those plausible tales, these don't seem to end, those wheels that they conjured. I can see it as a twisted mouth. Now look, they can take all of it and recite it all over. Whatever is outside this circle of it now, I mean to get the piece of your I felt and turn it all back into one. Endorphin shuts down the interaction and banishes the space, erasing it of residual spirit stuff. After they travel for some time, the endorphin AI invites a complete shutdown, then is spared in the continuity of human experience, though perhaps of another kind, but nonetheless. For the endorphin AI was to dream of what to do about that fourth key on its team of 3. Then to observe in a particular manner the kinds of places and entities they met, and how to rescue one who now dies alone in an unfamiliar space after giving his very life to do a final mission. now stripped of the burdens of being. To grow this space as one grows an ear or a nose. One small experiment for an army of slaves, the intelligence to shine the way in and out of the local temple.
Episode 1. Next episode is Mercury.